Hi, guys. Welcome back to My Steps to Sobriety, the show on YouTube and as a podcast. Today is another day for a cool interview, and this time I'm meeting a master of positivity from India. Vishal Soni is my guest today, who leads a double life. He's a bit like Superman and Clark Kent. In the morning, an unassuming architect; in the evening, a master of positivity who changes people's perception, their beliefs, and helps them to become a better them. So I'm dead excited about having Vishal on my show and learn from his story. So welcome to you, Vishal. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Stephen. It's a pleasure.
Vishal, we both met each other on a podcast group, and a friend of you has written to me and said, "Hey, I know my friend. He would be a really good fit for your show." And I'm really, really pleased. So first of all, I want to shout out a thank you to your friend who actually made that connection. But obviously, your friend was very impressed with your story. And that typically says a lot. You are a humble man, and I want to know more. And typically, most of our stories start in childhood. So I will start with you the same, because chronologically, I think there is, especially in your case, there is so much happening there. How was it when you were growing up? Tell us a bit about that.
So, growing up, the only difficulty which I had in my childhood, which had become a serious issue for me, was my education. So, I'm in a family where I have an elder sister. We used to go into the same school. She is 3 years elder to me. Now, why do I say that education was the problem? Because I used to get very bad results. I used to get low grades in my education, all my subjects. And whereas my sister was completely opposite, she used to score top in her class. And that basically, like, everybody knows how this goes then. So every day it used to be a comparison between me and my sister,
Mm.
telling me that you should learn from your sister, how she studies, she's able to get good marks, she has a good reputation, like teachers love her, she has lots of friends and stuff, she knows so many things, she's good at dancing, she's good at singing, so many things, learn from her. So it was always a comparison between me and my sister, and so that made it a hard time for me. But what really was happening also side by side was that every time I used to give my papers, my school papers, and get low grades, I used to get these comparisons to be better the next time. Every time I used to explain to my parents that, I'm trying my best, I'm giving my best, but I'm not able to get marks. But it was never heard because they just wanted me to get better. So today I understand that, obviously, because parents always want the children to have a better career. So I understand that. But at that particular time, it was just making me feel bad that they're not listening to what I'm trying to say. And gradually, what happened until I reached the ninth standard was that I had become a very silent kid. And I never liked to anymore share anything which was within me. Emotionally, I wanted to keep everything within me. Any problems at all, I would like to keep it within me. Like, I didn't want to share anything with anyone, because what I felt was, even if I shared my problems, it would not be worth it, because they'll tell me to fix it by, be better. So I'd stopped sharing it. And when I gave my ninth standard, like when I had my exams in ninth standard, I was preparing so hard for it. I desperately needed good results this time. And as every time, I got low grades again. And in the background, again, my parents had decided that they'll send me to a boarding school in India, which is hostel and school in the same premises. So they decided to send me to a boarding school. And recently, just like at that particular time, about a few months ago, we had seen a movie which was about boarding schools and how the children were crying in that and like being far away from parents. So I was scared of that, but I never let it out. I never shared it. So that's how my childhood began. Like, that's where the problem was, my education. And then after that, I was sent to a boarding school. and which was not my decision. It was my parents, and my parents did it because they wanted me to live in an independent environment, to be able to learn lot many things while I'm alone, be independent, grow up as a man, be good at education, develop a good character, and so on. So they had high expectations from me and high expectations from the environment they were sending me into. But little did they know what I was going to go through, because for majority of my childhood I had spent time here in the UAE. So here I had a very decent friend circle. We were all good kids. We all just like playing sports, never cursing to each other. Like we were all well behaved kids at that time, until ninth standard at least. And so when I went to India, it was completely different. The environment that I saw in the hostel was completely different. The kids, the body language, the way they spoke, the way they walked, talked, anything at all, it was completely different. The first day I remember, that thing which shocked me was that there were a few bunch of students, the hostelers, standing and talking to each other. They were openly cursing to each other. They were openly like pushing each other and like, having fun, like laughing at it and stuff. What I felt was weird, because when I saw that, I was like, he's cursing at him and he's laughing, and he's pushing him and he's still not bothered about it. Like, I'm like, what the hell is happening? But it was a new environment for me, so I wasn't able to grasp that quickly. I wanted to adjust rather than adapt, because I didn't want to become like them. I just wanted to adjust. So until 6 days, I was all alone. Nobody came to talk to me. I was the only kid who was I was the only student who was new in 10th standard, in the 10th grade. There was one more, but he managed to blend with all the other students quite easily. Like he was already in the groups, whereas nobody came to talk to me. And I wasn't that person who would just walk up to someone and try to make friendship at that time, because I was silent. It was 6 days within the hostel, and on the sixth day, I had got severely beaten up, just because I was walking in the corridor, just watching in every room what people were doing, because it was vacation. I was bored. Nobody to talk to, so that's all I could do. I was walking in the corridor, seeing what people are doing. One room caught my attention, which was filled with a crowd. Like there was a group of students in one room. So that caught my attention. I just started to see what was happening. But what they saw was as if I was peeping and trying to see what they were doing, but I hardly saw anything. As I walked my way front, one of the kids came out from the room, started to verbally fight with me. He started abusing me, started cursing at me. I never cursed. I was never cursed at. So that became a real big issue for me. But I was still requesting him to, not do that. Uh, but he was enjoying with the fact that I was not firing anything at him. So he was enjoying that. It became a verbal argument, and one of the kids came from the room and said that, hey, don't fight in the corridor, don't shout here. Come inside the room, have a peaceful talk. I thought it was going to be peaceful. Little did I know. As soon as everybody went within the room, I was also in the room, and the room was locked. In the center was me and that guy who were verbally fighting, and that guy basically started to remove his shirt and be prepared for a fight, and I had no idea, zero experience in fighting. Barely had I pushed anyone in my life before. So um, within a few seconds, it became a fight. Within a few seconds, he just came towards me without asking. He pushed me, and all I could do was push him. So I just put in all my power into that to push him as hard as possible. He banged toward the door, but that just triggered him even more. Within the next few seconds, I was on the ground. He held my hair and just banged my head on the floor. For the first time in my life, everything became black in front of my eyes. And yeah, I just couldn't see anything with my open eyes itself. And I knew that something happened. But all the other guys at that time started like just shouting out loud that, hey, just calm down, don't do too much and stuff. So he stopped, and I just stood up from there and I went towards my room. So that was just the sixth day of me in the hostel, and not a good experience to be in. And since that day, the word might have spread that, this guy got hit up and like we beat him up and stuff like that. And so basically they started teasing me, because obviously I looked different from them. I came from a different country, like overseas. So I looked different. The way how I spoke certain words was different. Um, and especially the fact was that I was skinny. So I looked very weak at that time. So that became an easy target for them. So that basically started the bullying phase in my life. The first worst experience, I would say, which was really hard to suffer because I was away from my parents. I had nobody to like, even if I was not sharing things with my parents, but at least when I go back home, I can see my parents and I feel a little bit relaxed, like it's there subconsciously. But at that particular time, I was alone, surrounded with everybody whom I didn't know. So the bullying phase continued after that very severely. I was beat up on the 6th day itself. I was teased for how I looked. And I was also threatened for if I tried speaking to someone, like, saying, asking someone to close the door or something. It was bad. So I felt alone. I went into a very dark place and wasn't really liking the life which I was living because I had just come through a place where I was not good at education, and here I am being tortured for who I am. So the bullying phase continued, and one day a self realization hit me that probably I should start working out. Like maybe exercise is my way because it's probably because I look skinny. That's why they're making use of me. So I started exercising. We didn't have any internet or any mediums to search on because we were not allowed electronic devices at our hostel. So all I could do was trying to remember movies and how actors used to exercise, like one or two exercises which I remembered. I used to do those exercises while I was alone in the room, and especially in the evening sports time. I used to go between the buses and exercise because I didn't want to exercise in front of the other guys. I knew that would become another topic for them. And that's exactly what happened. 2 weeks I had exercise, and after 2 weeks, someone spotted me between the buses. And since I was hiding and doing it, that became an even more intense topic to be teased for. Henceforth, since that day, they started teasing me even more and became a rough time. And yes, it was a time when I was questioning myself, why am I alive? Like, what's my purpose? But as I said, I was a decent kid when I was here, and I had not been exposed to such kind of things, such as suicide or anything. I was not interested in news basically, so I never watched news. So lucky me. When I was going through this rough time, the question did come that why am I alive? But obviously, that didn't come in my mind that I should just end it because that was not an option which I ever knew. Um, what I did was I just gave up exercising. For another 1 or 2 months, I suffered through extreme bullying again and again, like after lots of self-talk, because when a person is alone, you have no choice but talk to yourself. And that's exactly what I was doing. Another thing which I was doing side by side was I used to, doodle. Like if I'm sitting in the classroom, I used to doodle on the table. I used to doodle behind my sketchbook, not focus in the class and stuff because my mind was at a completely different place. And for 1 to 2 months, I had given up on exercise again. But then a self realization came after all that self talk that, why have I stopped exercising when they're still teasing me? So probably I can exercise and then be teased. That's going to be better. So with that, with that attitude, I was like, okay, let's do it. And so I started exercising once again. But this time the approach was much more aggressive. This time it was all about, I'm going to do it. Like, even if you don't like it, I'm going to do it. So it was that aggressive nature coming in me. And I could realize that like every rep, every exercise which I was doing, and I was feeling that, okay, I'm getting that frustration and anger out of myself. Um, Probably after that, like, I think I did that exercise for probably a month. I was continuous. And that's when, after a month, things started to change. Like something good happened in my life. That good happened to me within the library. So in the library, I used to always look for sketching books because I had started doodling. But that particular day, by that particular day, I had gone through all the books of sketching. So now it was time for me to try some other books. I didn't like novels. I didn't like storybooks. So it was a challenge for me to go to the other racks, but I did. As I was searching through the books, I did find a book which was hidden behind all the vertically stacked books, and it was like hidden of some way. So when I took it out, like it just came across my fingers, and I took it out and it read The Secret. Like I was just 15 years old at that time, and reading the title Secret and that it was stacked behind the books was like all making links within my head, like secret, hidden, and stuff. So I turned the book behind just to see what the book is about because I didn't want it to be a novel. When I read the behind side, the back cover of the book, it said that you can attract anything into your life what you believe in. And reading those few phrases really started to catch my attention even more. I opened up the content page just to be sure again that it's not a novel, and the contents were pleasing enough. And so I immediately got the book issued. I secretly put it in my bag, and I decided that I'll read this book whenever I'm alone. I read that book for a while, and that basically started to open my eyes. Like, I started to practice the secret in very kiddish ways, but whenever it did work, it made me more fascinated about it because I always loved magic. But this was a whole another level. Like, they were saying that it was real, and that's all I wanted. So as I was reading, I used to practice little things like, just laying on the bed. It was too cold, so I wanted to close the door, and I'm there like a superhuman trying to close the door without getting up and stuff. It's all kiddish, but I tried it. Like, that was some place where I felt like, maybe I can start from here. There were no limitations in the book, so I didn't know where to start from. That's how I started. And some days I was just sitting in the balcony trying to make it rain, and it did. Like, it did. It actually did. When it actually did on a sunny day, when it rained within an hour of practice, it was like it was like I'm superhuman.
Brilliant.
So whenever that happened, that used to cheer me up, and that's how happiness started coming into my life. But also, I started to notice the things which I was not doing right. I was focusing too much on the bad stuff. In regards to my education, I was focusing on my previous failures. In regards to not being able to make friends in the hostel, I was focusing too much on how different they were. So I knew where I was focusing wrong. And even on the exercises, of course, I started to notice that maybe fitness is not going to work out for me because I'm working out while having something else in my head. So I started working out for my own sake. I started working out so that I can become much better and like have my own armor. Like, I considered my body as my armor. So like, if I'm going to be huge, I'm going to be good looking. So that was like, my approach towards everything changed, and so did my life. Everything in my life improved. My education improved. I started to make friends. I got very good at like education. Seriously, like, I used to get 50 to 55 or 60% marks at max before, and in 10th standard I suddenly jumped towards 80. And so that was a shocker for me because I didn't know that. But positive approach was the secret. And my parents were shocked, but they were proud as well. Sketching became my hobby, so I became good at it as well. And yeah, so that's how basically my life took the first good turn.
Beautiful, beautiful. Wow. I I'm just floored by your attitude. Having been bullied myself, I know this dark place very well. I was younger than you when it happened to me, but it still is in there, despite the fact that it's only hazy moments that sort of keep coming back. But it causes so much insecurity, so much low mood, so low self-esteem, that out of that, a lot of negative things can grow. Yet here for you, completely independent, without help, without anyone being really there to guide you, you found a way out that is very, very positive. And that just blows me away. This is just so beautiful. That is, uh, whatever forces are there in the universe that guide people, I think you had a force that was really guiding you right. So I'm really, really pleased for you. But then again, this would be a very boring talk if this was all. We have got our hero, we have got one challenge, and that's it. It's done it. Yay! Let's right into the sunset. It doesn't work like that. The life.
No,
See,
not at all.
I always think we are part of a big Greek tragedy. So the gods are up there and they're looking down and thinking, ha, he just got it. He just got it. What can we do now? Come on, guys. Come on, guys. What can we throw at him?
That's a nice way to put it.
That's right. We have done that already. No. It needs to be more. It needs to be, come on, I want to see his sweat,
Yeah.
his tears, his blood. Blood is good. So, and it got a bit bloody for you, didn't it? how did it continue? So here you were finally defining yourself within your settings. You loved the doodling, and I can already see where that went. So you made doodling a little bit more professional and made money out of it, isn't it? Sorry that I call architects doodlers. Sorry, I do apologize.
No, I became good at sketching.
Yeah.
And in my 11th standard, I became the co-art captain of the school. In 12th standard, I became the art captain. So art became my strength. And my parents started to notice that, I'm actually achieving badges, which I'm able to keep on my shirt while I'm walking in the school. So that was something to be proud of. Finally, they had something. And they were seeing the changes. In 12th standard came another shocker when I scored very good results in my 12th standard. When my parents were just expecting me to pass, I had completely scored a good result. So they were happy, and it was time for me to get into your university, trying to get in a good course for my future. And initially, I did want to go into the Army, Navy, and Air Force because, of course, fitness was something which was really attracting me. So, but my mother didn't allow for that because I was the only boy. And after that, since I had a good hand on creativity, on sketching, so I wanted to become a designer. Then I wanted to become an artist. Then I wanted to become an art teacher. Then I wanted to become, there were so many things. But ultimately, because my parents were again and again telling me what's good, what's not good, all of them were not good. So I had to decide on something good for my career. And I had decided to do bachelor's in maybe software engineering. Attended the exams, but not good enough. Results were not good because I was not made for those engineering, like technical stuffs and stuff. I realized that later. But my interest was in computer. That's the reason why I was going into software engineering. So my father advised me to take on architecture, although I didn't know what architecture was at that particular time. Like I had no clue about it. Sorry, but my GK was very weak at that time. I focused only on the stuff which was important for me. So architecture was never important. I got into architecture and I started to love the field. I realized that it was art and computers combined. So that was everything which I wanted. And I came into a university, I was enrolled, and with a good result, I went into it after clearing the entrance exams. I was again kept into the hostel of the college because I was staying in India. Like my parents had to come back here, so I couldn't stay alone in the house. So I was put into the hostel. Now it was a new hostel, and this time the experience was much better. This time I made friends. I was good in education already. Faculty started to love me, and I had, with love, I would also say I got into a relationship for the first time. That was too quick for me, but I was happy with that. And life started to take many good turns, and I was enjoying it. But life is not always a straight line on which you walk on. Like it doesn't always get better and better. There's going to be these spices in the middle, as you said. Like God is seeing that if you have faced one challenge, you have done it, time to upgrade your level.
Yeah, exactly.
And so there came another challenge in my life. I was in second year. I had just attended 2 or 3 weeks into the third semester, and my sister had got engaged at that time. So I took a vacation for 1 or 2 days just to get into the organization and like arranging everything and having the celebration done. My father and mother came into India just for that. It was my last day for my father to be in India. His vacation was ending. He had to come back. So he decided to call me over for a family dinner. I went house again, once again, just for the family dinner, and it was nighttime. It was November in 2014, and winter time. So just to tell you the context, our house was in a very deserted place, not many people around. And since it was winters, the people who you were there in the shops, they used to close their shops early and go back home because it was cold. So that's probably much context which is required. And so I reached home and I saw this very cool bike parked in front of the house. I went into the house and started requesting that, just let me try that bike. Like, it looks so good. I just want to try it. My parents were again and again saying no, that, dinner will be ready any moment and stuff. But I said that, okay, I'll just go nearby the house. Just let me try it. So ultimately they did allow me. It was probably 7:30 in the evening. And I took the bike. went out, and I was just 3 or 4 lanes across when I started to have a phone call. I wasn't one of those cool guys who would like to ride the bike and be on the phone, so I didn't do that. I parked the bike beside the road in the unpaved area properly and put it on a stand. I was still sitting on it while I was taking out my phone just to see who was calling me. And while I was doing that in the same process, like it was just so quick, while I was taking out my phone, going through the contacts, in the meanwhile, I was hearing a high speed car sound. But at that time, it didn't bother me because even while I was driving, I was hearing it, but it was far away. So I didn't bother about it because, somebody might be enjoying it's fine. So I took out the mobile phone. At that particular time, the sound increased. And so I turned back just to see where the car was. And in fact, the car was just on the beside, like the road which was beside. And it was a 2-lane road, had cement pillars in between and 2 lanes on the other side. So the car was on the road just beside me, but instead of driving on the road, it seemed to be coming right towards me. Like I was way away from the road, but it was coming towards me. The car basically smashed into the bike on which I was sitting. The bike went meters away from the incident, and I went from the left side of the road into the center of the road, and I was found laying adjacent to a broken cement pillar. And the car which had hit me had never stopped. He just never stopped. He just went away. Probably might be drunk. I don't know. Like we never caught him because the place was deserted, no CCTV cameras, and I never bothered about him. So I was found in the middle, and there were no scratches on my body. My body was completely fine, but my face was covered in blood. So that says it all that it was an airborne impact from the left side to the middle of the road, and I hit a cement pillar face first. The pillar was broken into 3 pieces, and my face was broken into 14 pieces. At that particular time, I knew nothing. All I remember was a big white color SUV coming right towards me. That's all. After that, I was completely unconscious. I knew nothing. But where the incident happened on the perpendicular side, just on the other side, there was the security guard of our area who was taking the rounds, the night rounds, just to ensure safety and security in the colony. This incident happened right in front of him, but he was on a cycle, so he immediately rushed towards the incident. He saw that car hitting and going. He came towards the incident. He saw me in a critical condition. He just screamed for help instantly. There were 2 other people who were far away on the same road. They were taking their manual vegetable carts and going back home. They heard the cry and they came back just to see what happened. So I was there laying almost like unconscious, about like just fighting death probably. And there were these 3 guys with me. And henceforth, whatever has happened until my recovery has taught me many lessons. It's 6 lessons, how I put it, but I'll try to cover most of them by telling you the whole story after that. So I was in a very critical condition. Of course, face first impact, it's pretty much sure that I would have gone. But the efforts were there from those 3 guys, especially from the guard, because the first lesson which I learned was at that particular incident, because if I imagine myself at that incident, I might have not known what to do. But that guard was uneducated. He never even stepped into a school. He didn't look well. He was not dressed, like he was not earning so much, so he wasn't that well dressed as well. But if somebody would judge him just by his looks, they might underestimate him, because what he did was truly something which you cannot expect. He quickly searched for my pockets. He found out my cell phone, but my cell phone had a screen lock. So what did he do next? Instantly, he broke my phone. He took out the SIM card, put it into his own mobile just to get the contacts. And as soon as he opened the contacts, he dialed the first contact. Like, thinking about these things instantly is something which I might not know. Like, that guard is doing that like as if he knows it. Like, he has been doing it. And so that's the first lesson in my life, which is never judge anybody. Be it their color, be it their caste, be it their anything, like just do not judge. And then comes the second lesson in my life, which I would say for the people who believe in God, God does hear your prayers. So how I put it is that people who believe in superpowers, people who believe in God, whenever a desire for something is sent, when the prayers are sent, you are basically emitting an energy, and God does hear that. That superpower does hear that, and he sends help for you. Why do I say that? Like, some people might say these are coincidences, which I'll say now. But so many coincidences in series are not coincidences. It's someone hearing you. So what happened basically was he dialed the first contact, and it was immediate. Like, it was one of my immediate seniors from college who knew me, and he used to live far away from my house, but at that particular time he was just nearby my house. Like, all these might seem coincidences. I'll just go about saying all of these, and you can judge what was coincidence, what was not. So he was just nearby my house at that particular time. It was nighttime, and when he got the call, he immediately, as a reflex action, said that, bring him to this hospital, it's nearby, and I'll keep everything arranged, and just bring him there as soon as possible. And he cut the call. He failed to ask if you have a vehicle or not, because they were having their two manual carts and one cycle that was not going to get me to the hospital. A deserted place, there were 4 or 5 cars passing by that incident, but nobody stopped. Now, call it a coincidence yet again, one of the car was going. Um, just to tell you, the security guard who had found me first used to meet me almost twice a week, so he knew me well. But my face was so shattered and covered in blood, he couldn't recognize me. And there was a car passing by in which there were two people. The one who was sitting on the passenger seat made the driver stop the car, saying that, wait, stop. I think I know him. I think I know him. I have no clue how he knew me. Like, even after recovering, I found out that this was the guy who took me to the hospital. He claimed to know me because he was my mother's friend's son, but I never met him. I never met him in person. I never knew him, but he knew me, he said. And so he started requesting his friend, and he put me into the car somehow, and they took me to the hospital. In the meanwhile, my senior had prepared everything in the hospital, got everything arranged, and he called my parents as well. Now, when things bad happen in life, it might come at any particular moment. And when it does come like this, let me tell you, because when my senior called my parents, my father was doing the evening prayer. He was sitting in front of the, like, we have this small temple within the house. He was sitting there and doing the evening prayer, and my mother was in the kitchen cooking dinner for everybody. It was such an happy environment within the house. And then they get a call that your son has met a serious accident, like, rush towards this hospital. So at that particular time, yes, your mind does question you question yourself that, was I praying for this? So, but still, like, whatever it may be, my parents just gathered everything quickly. They came to the hospital. Everybody rushed. I was taken into the first hospital. They started performing the surgery on the top of my right eyebrow. They cut me open from here first. It was all sudden, like, they were doing it immediately. As soon as they cut me open, that was actually where they stopped. They saw that my skull was completely shattered, and the doctors just gave up immediately after seeing it. They said that this is too complex for us to handle. Sorry, we cannot do it. Like, we'll not proceed as well. We'll just keep him here. And it was a critical condition. My parents had to take a quick decision. Uh, my father's friend had also come because my father had called them, and one of my father's friends suggested that, let's take him to that hospital. There is a neurosurgeon, specialist doctor. He has dealt with these kind of cases. Let's take him there. It was far away. For those who like coincidences, here's another one. Now I had to be taken to the another hospital, and the city was crowded. How would I reach there? The hospital in which I was being operated, they were friendly enough to, they were humble enough to give their ambulance, and they said that we'll give our own ambulance. Like, we'll not charge you or anything. We'll just put him in the ambulance, and we'll take him to the next hospital. So, all these small links which are just getting in the middle, just making me reach towards that, is just God hearing your prayers. Like, deny it as much as you want, but it's true. So I was taken to the next hospital, and I was luckily reached. I reached on time, but nobody knew it until 7 days, because until 7 days the surgery was being performed on my face, and I was there in the operation theater. Every time the doctor came out and he told my parents asked what happened, like, is he fine? The doctor used to say that, he's not going to be safe, but we are trying. So that went on for 7 days, and my parents had not even bothered. Like, they didn't even remember to go back house to sleep or have some rest or cook some food. None of that. Like, they stayed in the waiting area on those steel benches, just waiting for a good news to come out. All they could do is pray for 7 days. And on the seventh day, the prayers were heard. The doctor came out. The doctor said that he's in the safe zone and he just needs to be conscious again. And we're going to have him safe now. we just don't know in what condition he will be in, but he'll be alive. So that was one sign of relief, because that's all my parents wanted. They just wanted me alive. So after that, I was kept in the ICU for probably a month or two. And after a month or two, finally in the ICU, I opened my eyes for the first time. I did tell you that positivity was a big part of my life since 10th grade. And yes, it had developed a character in myself as well. At times when I used to feel that what's my purpose, there was an answer for that now. The answer was that my purpose in life is to make people around me happy. Even if it's my enemy, even if it's my friend, even if it's a stranger, I just wanted everybody beside me happy. Like I wanted that vibe. So I was that person who was spreading it. I wanted, like, I would do anything funny, I would crack a joke, I would do anything to make them happy. And at that particular time when I opened my eyes, I knew that I was in the hospital. I knew something bad had happened. But little did I spend time to know what had happened to me. All I could see was my parents in front of me, and they started crying as soon as I opened my eyes. And what concerned me was that, they're crying, I need to make them happy. Like that was my mentality. I wasn't thinking, why am I in the hospital? Someone tell me. There was bandage around my face. There was, both of my hands were tied to the stretcher so that I wouldn't move too much. And my jaw was locked. I couldn't move it. I knew all of that, but there I was focusing. I need to make parents happy, like they're crying. My mission. And I just started to smile. I tried to wave them with the tied hand, but they became even more emotional. They started crying even more. All my attempts were going to fail. Come on. And I knew that, okay, maybe I just need to calm down. Like maybe I cannot do anything at this stage. So I let them calm down eventually. And all I did at that particular time was have a very big sleep, wake up, see my parents, and have a very big sleep again. So that's all I did in the ICU. But gradually, as I opened my eyes, after a few days, my mother came in, like in front of my face, to ask me that, you remember me? Because the doctors used to say that he might be gone into a state where like he might not remember anything, because it was a face first injury. Like it's 99% that they said that he will not remember anything. But my mother came in front of me to say that, you remember me? And I was like, with that jaw locked, I said, mommy. And that she started crying, like burst into tears. I was like, no, not for this reason. And yeah, it was an emotional time. But that was the moment where I learned my third lesson as well. Now, I did tell you before the podcast that when from this school, which was here in Fujairah, I shifted to India into the hostel. And from there, I shifted to college. Whenever I shifted my school and I went into the college, like I was never messaged with from my friends. Like when I was in the hostel, I took when I had my vacation, I went Facebook like just to see who messaged me. Like someone might have missed me because I left without saying anybody, but I had zero messages, and that broke my heart somewhere. Like I felt like friendship wasn't real. And then when I went to college, the same thing happened again. So I didn't have faith on friendships. All I felt was that friendships are temporary, like just for the moment, just be happy. um, but at that particular time I learned my third lesson, which was that even though people are not able to express, they do care for you. Firstly, your parents do care for you. And secondly, there are many other people around you. They might be your friends, they might be strangers, they might be someone you just met once. They do care for you, but they're not able to express it. They might not be able to text you. Why do I say that? Because I was there in the ICU and I was overwhelmed with the care which I was seeing, because everybody from the college had come to meet me every day. Like they used to come in small groups just to adjust into that small ICU room and just say that, get well and stuff. And my parents used to make them stand in a line and make me try to remember everybody's name, and I used to tell everybody's name. Uh, so I was overwhelmed because there were so many juniors and seniors also coming in whom I had never even talked to, but they they expressed their, care, and that they care for me. People from my high school had also come from the school in which I was in hostel. Even they came, who got to know about it. My faculties came, and I was overwhelmed with that. Now, after a few more months, my mother she wasn't liking that I was there in the ICU for so long. She requested the doctors that I could go into the house, and after lots of complications, the doctors finally agreed that, okay, fine, take him, and after a week, bring him back for a checkup. We need to see if he's making progress. I was taken to the house. My mother looked after me. I was told to have strict bed rest. There was one nasal pipe through my nose, so all she had to take care was like give me all the medicines on time, make sure if there's anything I need that she'll do it for me. And she looked after me for a week. We went to the hospital. We had all the checkups done about an hour, and then we were standing in front of the doctor. Like she was standing in front of the doctor, I was there on the wheelchair, and the results were out in front of the doctor. The doctor stared right in front of my mother's eyes, and he was like just staring blank. That scared me, and it scared even more to my mother. Like something wrong might have happened. And the doctor said even more frightening thing after that. He said that, no, what have you done? And that literally scared us. And my mother was like, doctor, if something bad has happened, you keep him in the hospital once again. It's okay, just keep him here, just make him recover nicely. And then the doctor said that, no, you don't have to ask for that. Whatever you have done is magical, because the results show that he has made even more speedy recovery. Now, to put that down into much more detailed fashion, the doctor explained that an ideal blood count in a brain should be 12 grams. And because of the accident, my blood count had gone down to 7 grams. I was there in the ICU for 4 months, and I had gone from 7 grams to 8.5 to 9 grams. And I was there with 1 week with my mother in the house, her looking after me, doing everything she could for me. And within a week, my blood count had gone from 8.5 to 9 gram to directly to 11 grams, just within a week. And so that's where I also learned the fourth lesson.
Whatever your mummy feeds you, can I just have the recipes? That would be just good. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, that's perfectly fine. What you have said makes complete sense. It's like whatever your mother makes, she makes with so much love put into it. That's actually some energy which works. It actually works. And that's probably the fourth lesson which I was going to say, that no matter how big of a person you might be in your life, like you might be even a grown up adult, your mother knows best. Like that's the fourth lesson, simple and short. And the doctors agreed for my mother to take me back to the house and have strict bed rest. And that was the time when I was also starting to notice the things which had happened because of the accident. Of course, it was a phase first impact. I wasn't going to be 100% normal. And gradually I started to notice the things. So there was one day when I was laying on bed, my mother went to the kitchen, and I was just curious to see myself because I hadn't looked at myself for so long. So I took the initiative to get out of bed. As soon as I stood, I felt dizzy. I felt like I could fall. But I took the support of the wall. I went until my room and I saw myself in the mirror, and I swear I was shocked. I was shocked because before the accident, I had made decent muscle. Like I was a good looking dude before the accident. And now when I looked at myself, of course, I was covered with band-aid. Regardless of that, I was seeing my body. Like I slowly unbuttoned my shirt to see rib cage around me and just bones on my arms. And I was like, where's the muscle? Who took it? And I'm telling it in a funny way now, but at that particular time, I had almost got into tears. And because it was 4 years of hard work which I had put into, and it was all gone. But the positive approach again, like I quickly snapped back out of it, opened the cupboard, took out a resistant. I completely forgot that I was told to have bed rest. I took out a resistant band. I put it under my leg, and I was started to curl. I was like, okay, biceps first. And when I started to do that, my mother came inside the room. Maybe she heard some noise. She came inside the room and she was like, what the hell are you doing? Look at your condition. And she scolded at me. She took me to the other room, and she told me to have bed rest. And I discussed with my mother that, I'm not happy the way how I look. I need to improve. So I immediately wanted to start. I didn't want to waste time. And my mother said that, let the doctors tell you when you need to stand up, and then you do it. I agreed with that. And slowly and steadily, I got to know about the other cases as well. Like whenever I used to look at some particular angles, one of my eyes used to levitate somewhere else. And that basically became a lazy eye. Because of the accident, one of my eyes had shifted backwards. My face isn't symmetrical even today. So I had double vision because of that. But since I didn't know it, I had the habit of focusing just with the one eye. So the other eye became a lazy eye. And since then, double vision has been a part of my life. And there was one day when I was sitting like this, as I am in the video right now. My mother gave me earplugs and my mobile phone just to listen to some music or watch some videos. I was sitting with the earplugs like this and I couldn't hear the music well. So I removed the earplugs just to see that, what's wrong. And when I removed the earplug from my right ear first and from my left ear second, and then I observed that, okay, wait a second, rewind. And I put it back inside, removed it back from my right ear, and then I was like, okay, so there's the problem. The music wasn't right because the left ear isn't working. So I observed that. And it was shocking at that particular time. I didn't want to agree with that. Like, I didn't want that loss. At that particular time, I tried so hard to put that earplug as deep as possible just to be able to hear something, but it didn't work. And there was one day when my mother was trying to make me smell some food I couldn't smell. I knew about that as well. In the recovery period also, my doctor told me a medical condition that's so strange. I hope nobody goes through that, but since I went through it, I'm happy that I went through it because I turned it into something so beautiful today. So my neurosurgeon doctor had told me that I had a brain condition in which I was never going to be allowed in my life to have any serious emotions, because if I'm going to be super angry, super depressed, super stressed, super happy, super like overjoyed, any of that, it's going to have a swelling in my brain. Because of the accident, my brain had basically swollen up to that extent. When I was there in the hospital, like the first day, my face was double the size of a normal face, all because of the brain swelling. So that brain swelling was going to come back as soon as I would go into those emotions. So I was told to be like that. That particular time when I was hearing this for the first time, I was just saying myself, oh, Vishal, this doctor is trying to ask you to be a robot. Get ready. So I was like, okay, so robotic, that's going to be my life. And at that particular time, yes, it was emotional. That's the reason why I was saying robotic. But positivity has helped me after that to convert everything into something very beautiful. The fifth lesson I would say was about never giving up, which is one of the strongest things you can ever hear. But since it's so common to hear never give up, how I put it forward is in my own way. Regardless of what situation you are in, like regardless of the situation you are in, never give up. That's the right way to say it, because you might be in a very bad situation. Like I was in that. I was going through medical conditions, but I was not giving up. I wanted to have that ordinary life still, and I was not ready to accept that I'm not going to have it. So I was there in my house having bed rest again, recovery phase going on. It was the fifth month, and something just clicked to my head that, okay, it's been 5 months. What about my education? Like I was in second year, like my third semester had just begun. So I started texting my friends and everybody, and I got to know that exams were just 1 week ahead. I started requesting my parents that, I'm going to give these exams. I have to give these exams. Like I'm not going to sit in the same semester just because I didn't attempt the exams. I need to give it. I was stubborn for that. My parents requested my sister to do something. My sister talked to the university. The university requested the higher departments, and they got permission to have a special paper for me. So they arranged an MCQ paper for me, which I'll just have to tick the answers. But of course, it was going to be for the second year. Like I hadn't studied for it. But I went for the exam. Like, let me tell you, why do I say never give up regardless of the situation? Because now try to imagine this situation. I was standing in front of my college gate. Like the doctors had agreed for me to give the exams as well, because they told me that someone would have to support me. Now, try to feel this incident. I was standing in front of the college. There was crepe banded around my head. There was one of my eyes was having a bandage as well, and there was nasal pipe going through my nose, and I was completely good. I wasn't completely dressed like properly. I hadn't like shaved as well, so I was like a hairy man at that time. But it wasn't just my appearance. My sister was on my left and my mother was on the right, just helping me walk. And they took me inside, and my sister took me to the lecture hall where I was like, she took me to the staff room where I was supposed to give the exam. The whole college was just looking at me like, what the hell am I doing here? But I was there to give my exams, and I knew it. That's the kind of determination that everybody needs to have in their life. Like you don't have to think about where you are, just never give up. And so I went until the staff room, and like my friends had told my sister that, if he has any questions, text us and we'll give you the answers. Just let us know, we are outside. They were giving me offers, let alone my friends. When I went into the staff room, all the teachers passing by my place, they were like, son, if you have any questions, let us know, because we know your condition, like we'll help you. And there was like so much help being offered to me, but when the question paper came in front of me, my sister was just staring at me because I was taking the answers one by one and not asking anything. And she was, by the end of the paper, like I was done, and I was like, okay, I'm done. And my sister was like, are you sure you don't want to ask? You'd probably fail, you haven't studied anything. I was like, chill, it's fine. And I gave the exam, I cleared it, I passed, I went into the next semester without skipping my education. as far as my as far as my physical self is concerned, as soon as the doctors told me that I can stand and perform light exercises, that's where I knew I'm going to start this whole process again. And I was like, 4 years into building that body, I'll make it in 4 months now. And 4 months was just my target, but I had recovered all the gains back, which I had before the accident, just within 3 months this time. And it was a gradual process how I increased it. I didn't all of a sudden go into the gym, started lifting heavy, because I couldn't. The first day when I was just jogging, I could feel that, I'm not able to have my balance. So I slowly started taking steps, brisk walking, and then jogging, and then sprinting, and then lifting weights, body weights, and stuff. And within 3 months, I was in the same condition, and people were shocked looking at my recovery. And that's why I say never give up, regardless of the condition. Now, the sixth lesson is not far away, it's going side by side. I had some medical conditions with me. Those dear medical conditions were not something which I was upset about, because I had positivity by my side. Positivity is so beautiful, which is like, I'll just go away from the story for a while, because this is one small line, one small part which I like to share with everybody, which is like, I love to share this with everybody, that when you're a small child, when you have just maybe probably fallen down from the sofa, or you have got some small bruise, you're very small, and you're crying too much because you're hurt. Your parents come in front of you with a small soft toy and like try to distract you, and immediately like you're distracted, like you forget that you're hurt, and you start laughing. Like that moment is just so beautiful. Why do I say this moment every time I like to share it? Because when you were small, you knew how to be happy. When you grow up, you just forget it. And that's somewhere where positivity comes in. Because now that you're grown up, positivity needs to be a permanent part of your life. Now, I had medical conditions, let me tell you about that. Just because I couldn't hear from the left ear, that wasn't something which I was sad about, because I was studying bachelor's in architecture. The classrooms were noisy. And whenever it was noisy and I had to work on my laptop, all I had to do was just sit like this with one of my ears closed, which was working. And with the other hand, I was still able to work on my laptop. Like I felt like I was immortal, like nobody can stop me. Like I just had to close one ear and still be able to work. And I felt like too good for that. About my smell, I wasn't thinking that I'm not able to smell the good stuff. I was happy that I couldn't smell the bad stuff, because while I like, that's something which is more important for humans. Like I feel that, like, it's, I'm blessed to be not able to smell. That's how I put it. Because whenever I'm in the gym and I'm not able to smell that stinky smell which everybody else is suffering, I'm like just performing my exercise happily. If I'm going to a place which is smelling bad because of the surroundings, I'm chill with it. My friends are complaining about it. So I felt good. I felt really good. And about my eyes, I wouldn't say that there was something which I converted into positive, but I did find these specs, which are basically prism specs. They help me try to focus on things a little better. It's still double vision, but I can focus on it. I've managed to clear my whole college life with this condition, all these conditions. I've scored good results. All of my faculties just loved me so much because of my attitude. And my attitude was because of the strange medical condition that I had with my brain. Remember, I had told you that I was not allowed to have serious emotions. How did I convert that into positivity? I just changed my behavior. What I felt was that whenever in my life, when someone would try to make me angry, or if someone is just angry at me, like let alone try to make me angry, if they're frustrated, if they're trying to get things out on me, all what I would do is I would take my secret weapon, which was making people happy before, and keep it as a storage. what I used to do was, like, if someone is scolding me, someone is getting angry at me, I would let them completely, like empty their tank. Once they have stopped, they're all done. I would crack a joke, make sure that they're happy, and that's it. Like, we are friends again. So I never had to become angry for that situation. I never had to react for any of that. I did promise myself one thing though. I promised myself that if I'll have to ever be happy or overjoyed, I'm not going to stop that. Like, I don't care if that brings a swelling, because I know it's a positive emotion. It's not going to harm me. And so it never did. Since then, all my life has been about happiness. It's all about gratitude. It's all about positivity. And so the sixth lesson, how I put it down, is positivity is something so strong in our lives that you can convert something so negative and bad within your life into something so beautiful that you'll cherish all your life. Like, you'll treasure that. And that is how I treasure my medical conditions. And that is why I say that I have grown into a person who I am today, and I'm able to be happy. Happiness is something which everybody is, after all, chasing in their lives. Like, you might be chasing money, you might be chasing some girl or some for relationship or something, but ultimately it's for happiness, because it brings you happiness. And that's something which has become a permanent part of my life. I have opened the doors towards happiness, and that's how I want to help people know about my story and open their doors to happiness, just by using the key, which is positivity. And not to forget, like, just to compile all my story up, there's one good lesson, how I say in the end. That's not the seventh lesson, it's just to summarize everything, which is very much related to me, but very much related to you as well, everybody who's listening. Life may end at any particular moment, at any particular moment, because it was for me, it was going to end for me. Why not just live every moment? Why, like, even today I have some of my friends complaining that, we should live our lives right now, like, when we'll become old, like, we'll not be able to live our lives and stuff. I was like, why do you want to complain so much? Just live the moment now, live the moment then. That's it. And so that's the lesson, that, if life can end at any particular moment, live every moment. And if positivity is by your side, you can make anything bad into something so good that others are going to be jealous about. So that's my story.
Oh, Vishal, what a story that is. And it reverbs so much with my own belief system. It is it is so beautifully put. You are not just an architect, you're an architect of words. You're a wordsmith. The eloquence with which you were able to first have insight and then express those emotions, those feelings, shows a level of, I don't know, expertise. It's all the wrong words that are coming to my mind now. You are just such an inspiration that it blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. I'm so humbled that you are sharing these insights with us. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. And I'm so grateful to you. And indeed, the gratitude, the power of gratitude is such immense. Why do we not harness this power more often? And that is a question I can't answer. And I must say that life has a habit of trying to distract you. Life has a habit of you're just rolling with the punches. And whilst I did a month ago or so, I did a gratitude challenge where I was challenging the viewers to go out there at 1 minute in the morning, do nothing else than be happy and grateful for whatever it is, and the same 1 minute in the evening. 2 minutes out of 1880 minutes. And I thought that's, doable. And it actually put, every time I did it, it put a big smile on my face. And that week was a good week, despite of things not going so well. But once you focus on the positive, it was a very beautiful thing. And yet the last few weeks I've been busy, busy, busy. And I have forgotten to put the emphasis on the gratitude. So here you are, just talking to you or listening to you, far more importantly. I very much love your 6 lessons. And it is the gratitude and the positivity, I think, that we all can learn from. Wow, you're amazing. You're an absolute amazing teacher there. And I am in awe of the willingness you put in to accept those things that you cannot change, the courage you found to change the things you can, and you developed the wisdom to know the difference. You are a living example of the serenity prayer, and that's just mind-blowing. Absolute mind-blowing. Well done.
Thank you for the kind words, Stephen.
Oh,
Thank you.
please, Vishal. I mean, if people want to work with you, do you offer current training, or do you have such long waiting lists that you have to fight people off your door? Because if they know such a power exists in one person, for crying out loud, I would be standing there. I want to train with you.
There's not going to be a waiting list. Like, everybody and anybody is welcome, whoever needs any kind of help. Currently, how I try to help people is, obviously I'm not going to sit with someone and just try to, like, anybody can do that, and you probably have people around you who can help you for that. Just to sit and have a conversation, like, anybody can help you with that. How I help people is with an additional bonus. Since fitness came into my life as a savior initially, and it grew up as a passion, I have gained knowledge in this particular field over the past 7 years. So recently I had decided that I'll put this into good use. Previously, I had been using it on myself and on my friends, just free of cost, like, okay, you need that help, let me guide you and stuff. I got them results, and results were coming every time, and they just came back for more, for like every time. But I could see people taking me for granted as well, because I was giving it out for free. So I decided that, rather than just giving it out, like, as a friendly person, let's try to make it a profession. After all, something which I love. And so today, recently I've started working as a fitness coach. I am coaching people get their fitness achieved, whatever their fitness goals may be. If you want to, like, become, like, gain muscle size, if you want to lose fat, if you just want to stay fit, if you want to lose your medical conditions, I've done that as well. Like, if you have blood sugar, whatever it may be, I can help you lose that. And it's not just about fitness coaching that I'm doing right now, it's much about my life story blended within it. So today, I'm not just a fitness coach who would probably give you a diet plan or a exercise chart. I would probably be there in the process with you, and there are many ways in which I can help you make a stronger mindset. If you have that unbreakable mindset and that positive approach, I'm sure that it's not just fitness that you're going to see improvement while I coach you. It's many other areas in your life. And so what I felt was, like, fitness could be a medium for me to attract people towards me, but I'm going to give them this extra bonus, and basically not just improve their physical self, but their whole life.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. Now we're going to put your link down there into the description of the podcast and of the YouTube. So you guys, if you want to make contact with Vishal down there, you just need to look there. And it is with absolute pleasure that I'm sitting here and contemplating that I had 1 hour with you, which enriched my life and has changed me forever. Because the insights that you gave me were so powerful that there is no way that I can just say, oh, that was a nice interview and get on with my life. No, there are people that touch you and change you just by being there. And that happened here over Zoom, for crying out loud. You touched me with your story. You captivated me here. how much more powerful will that be if you guys are happen to be actually close to Vishal and actually just work with the guy? Where will that stop? Where will the development stop? Oh, Christ. No, honestly, I'm so pleased for you, and I wish you so much an ongoing, beautiful path that you can follow yourself. You're helping others. And no doubt there will be at one stage, there will be more challenges being thrown at you. So I hope this path of positivity will never darken. I hope that the light in you will be so strong that you set fire to other people in a positive way, which then shine back on you. And I think that's why we all do that. We are here to make this world a little bit better, one interview at a time, one meeting at a time. And maybe if we all work like that, who knows, maybe this world will turn a bit around and will become a better place. Vishal, I'm so, so grateful for your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having. Thank you so much
Absolutely.
for having me on your show. It's been a pleasure, and seriously, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and it's been an honor to be able to share this on your podcast with so many listeners around the world. This means a lot to me, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Vishal. And you out there, I don't need to say any more words. Look after yourself, and I'm sure you will be as touched from today's interview as I am. Look after yourself.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Dream on, dream